2025 has been described as one of the worst years for new music. When you look at the eventual year-end list, at least a fourth of that chart will consist of songs that were released last year or the subject of today's videos 2 years ago. Lose Control set the record for the longest running song in Billboard history by a huge margin. On the outside, it's a fine enough song, but people are often asking, how did this song last 100 plus weeks on the charts? Today we're going to go through this song's journey, and at the end, I'll explain why the longer the song stays on the charts, the more it will hurt him in the future. So without further ado, here's Lose Control, the most stubborn hit of all time. Before we begin, if you want to see music bios or more good videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Also, I've started a Patreon account. On here you get more copyrighted material and they'll be uploaded 48 hours prior to YouTube. If you want to support or visit, link is in the description. And without further ado, on to our feature presentation. Before we can even talk about the song itself, we need to understand how Teddy Swims got to this position. Real name Jayton Collins Dimsdale. He was an aspiring musician from Conyers, Georgia. He'll spend most of his come up joining local bands from Atlanta, but none of them were for the long term. On his own, Jayton befriended Addie Maxwell, a local producer, and thanks to some connections, they will open up for Tyler Carter. In 2019, Jayton would start his YouTube career in covering songs, but he needed a stage name and he came up with Teddy Swims. Teddy came from a childhood nickname, while Swims is an acronym standing for someone who isn't me sometimes. He would cover songs from a wide range of artists, but the one that gave him the most success was his cover of Still the One by Shania Twain. That video amassed over 160 million views on YouTube, and this is where Teddy decided to release music independently. He dropped his debut single Night Off, and it got him attention from Warner, the possible villain of this video, who decided to sign him. His first years in Warner was him dropping EPs, but none of them were mainstream success. But he did make his television debut on the Kelly Clarkson Show, and Rolling Stones named him an artist to watch. Teddy's voice became something people had noticed, and one who noticed was Meghan Trainor, as she offered him to collab on the song Bad For Me. Again, the song was never charted on the Hot 100, but it gave him a charting debut on the adult contemporary charts. More on them in a bit. It's now 2023. Teddy's career has seen potential, but he hasn't called anything his own. So he teamed up with a songwriter named Julian Bonetta. He knew that Swims could sing anything, but it needed a hook to take off, and Teddy just blurted out the words, "I lose control," and that's how the pair got the hook. They then comprised lyrics at a 4-day writing camp, and a producer named Ammo came up with production that would come off as timeless. A song where you could say, this could have came out in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. And once done hearing the first playback, Teddy said that this song is going to change his life. And it did. On June 23rd, 2023, Lose Control was released. The song lyrics consist of his honest interpolation about toxic relationships. Love can be addicting, and you wind up losing control as you want to chase that feeling over and over again. The song would spend its first 2 months on the bubbly under 100 charts, but thanks to increasing yet slow virality, Lose Control debuted at 99 on the Hot 100 on the week ending on August 26, 2023. Over the rest of that year, the song began to quietly climb the charts, and speculation of a sleeper hit began to surface, especially given its stability during the holiday rush. Some of it also helped when he released his debut album, I Tried Everything But Therapy Part 1 in September of that year. When the holiday rush went away, Lose Control surged to number 12, and the next week, it entered the top 10 for the first time. In March 2024, Teddy decided now is the chance to make a run at the top. He discounted sales and dropped several remixes. However, he was blocked by Carnival by Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign. But there was one thing he took advantage of. Early in 2024, there was a gap in the music industry, and it stemmed from the UMG versus TikTok feud. With Teddy being under Warner, it left him unaffected and saw an opportunity to try for the top again. On the week ending on April 6, 2024, Lose Control reached the number 1. Lose Control would spend the rest of that year coasting in the top 10, but now's the big test, following up. Can Teddy prove to everyone that Lose Control wasn't a fluke? Well, on June 14th, The Door was released. On the charts, it had a similar start to Lose Control, debuted low but slowly climbed, and by the fall, it reached the top 30. and you would think it will rotate Lose Control out, but the door just stalled out. The song will wind up forced into recurrency due to the album bombs of GNX, Wicked, and Holiday Music. But he didn't give up. He released Bad Dreams to lead off his Therapy Part 2 album on September 13th, 2024. It debuted 1 week before exiting the charts, but it returned as it was gaining worldwide attention. After the holiday rush of 2024, the song returned, and it should be noted that Lose Control exited the charts during this period, but returned thanks to Billboard's inconsistent recurrent rules. In January, his Therapy Part 2 album was released, and then he pushed another duet with Giveon called Are You Even Real? But that song's run was spent mostly below the top 50. But back with Bad Dreams, the song did reach number 30 on the Hot 100, and you would think that this song would get rotated in order to rotate Lose Control out. But just like The Door, its momentum stalled out, and Bad Dreams was forced out due to the Morgan Wallen album bomb. It seems like no matter what songs get released by Teddy Swims, Lose Control was going to stick around no matter what. Whenever it seems that Lose Control was losing momentum, something, either streaming or the radio, or a combination of both, will keep it around. In early summer 2025, Lose Control became the longest charting song in Billboard history, surpassing Heat Waves by Glass Animals. In July, Lose Control became the first song to spend 100 weeks on Billboard, and it also owns the most weeks spent in the top 10. How did this happen? Well, I have several theories on why this song stayed on the charts this long and won't die. Number one, sorry, I gotta blame 2024 as a whole, because 2024 is regarded as one of the best years for releases. A year that had the rise of women in pop, country music was booming, and there was a rap beef that definitely was a talking point in that year. In 2025, most of those trends carried over. If you follow the Billboard Hot 100, you notice that a majority of those songs released last year squatted in the top 25. Songs like Espresso, Not Like Us, Beautiful Things, I Had Some Help remained on the charts well into 2025 and will likely occupy spots on the Billboard year-end lists. And speaking of year-end lists, right now, a fourth of the year-end list for 2025 is expecting to have songs that made previous year-end lists, and that includes the holiday music. Not helped by Billboard decided to make the year end in mid-October to align itself with the Billboard Music Awards, an award show that moved towards the end of the year that essentially no one really cares about except for this channel. Number 2, Adult Contemporary Radio. Adult Contemporary Radio is where most songs go when their peak on the Billboard comes or their run on the charts is nearing its end. In 2024, Lose Control was one of, if not the most heard song on the radio. And one thing about Adult Contemporary Radio is that songs don't normally rotate easily. They tend to stay around. It's the case on why Wildflower by Billie Eilish was able to skate away from not only the top 50 recurrent rules, but the top 25 recurrent rules as well. The song has been impacted by Adult Contemporary Radio for over a year. It currently has no signs of slowing down. My third theory is lazy streaming practices. Another big story of 2025 that has been going under the radar is how some streaming playlists fail to update to rotate in fresher and newer songs, Spotify. As a result, Lose Control is able to maintain consistent streaming throughout 2025. Many chart watchers have complained that radio is causing these songs to stay on longer than it should and perhaps be removed from Billboard's formula on determining the number one. However, evidence shows that streaming is just as guilty. And my fourth theory is Warner. Labels do have a say on what becomes a hit and how things become a hit, but they're getting some of this blame as well. Because back in the day, when a label since a song was failing on the charts or since a song that was falling naturally, they tend to quickly push another single or tell the artist to just go in the studio and recreate a new project. Unsure what the practice is today, but Warner is still finding ways to milk money out of Lose Control. The song lasted over 2 years on the charts, so why try push another single to challenge? What was once a beloved hit is now becoming stale and stubborn. I did say in the beginning of the video that the longer the song stays on the Hot 100, the more it will hurt Teddy Swims. First, let's look at the other songs that have lasted 90 weeks. Blinding Lights lasted 90 weeks on the Hot 100, but is still beloved by fans. He might be the exception as The Weeknd still has a music career, for now at least. But Glass Animals' Heat Wave wasn't so lucky. It lasted 92 weeks and has since exited in 2022. Glass Animals never charted in America again. Teddy right now is in uncomfortable territory. The more the song lasts on the Hot 100, the more known he'll become of said song, and thus entering the one-hit wonder talks. Teddy has proven he could get other songs on the charts, but those songs often get knocked out by album bombs. But in reality, his songs haven't sniffed the top 10, and I bet you didn't know that he released more singles in 2025, but those songs didn't chart, likely due to lose control fatigue. In conclusion, this video was not made to knock down Teddy Swims' major accomplishment, but he took advantage of several opportunities during Lose Control's chart run, and now the song cannot get off the charts. A song lasting 2 years on the Hot 100 is kind of embarrassing when you dig deeper into this, and while I hope Teddy Swims continue his music career, the longer Lose Control squats on the charts, the less likely it is for him to get another hit. And that concludes Lose Control, the most stubborn hit of all time. Tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.